All right, I want to tell you a story because I look out here and I see a lot of really great people. You know, I've gone and talked to a lot of different places. Whenever I talk to Montana, I really feel welcome. There is a real kindred spirit. There are pioneers in Alaska, and there are pioneers in Montana, and I really feel like I'm in good company. I didn't say this to Chicago, okay? When I was talking to them, I was like, well, guys, it's a long road, but you can do it if you work hard. You know, you can do it. You know, that's what I said to them. But I really feel like I'm in good company here in Montana. You know, second only to, you know, my own kinsmen and countrymen in Alaska. So when I see that pioneering spirit, that's what America needs. And I want to talk to you a few times about when I was young and you know, discovered some pioneering spirit. Okay. I was in Alaska, and there's all kinds of adventures to do there. It's huge, you know. We live in the Tanana Valley. The Tanana Valley is the size of Texas. And it's just, there's 30,000 people just right in the center, and that's it. And so there's just all this wilderness and all this opportunity. Now, the feds, I'll tattle on them a little bit because I never pass up an opportunity to bash government. They came to Alaska, and they just, in total disregard of Article 1, Section 8, where it says no, you know, they can have forts, docks, arsenals, shipyards, and other needful buildings, you know, and exercise like authority over the such as shall be necessary. That's it. No land, no federal land. They just totally ignored that rule of force again, instead of rule of law, which is the Constitution. And I had this in my pocket. If any of you wondered why he keeps tapping his pocket, it's because that's where my Constitution is. So they took just billions of acres of Alaska, and they turned it into Federal Bureau of Land Management land. And people who'd lived there their whole lives and had homesteads there that was their fathers before them and their fathers before them, the feds showed up and they're like, you can't have this anymore here because we own it now. And they're, oh, wait a tick. And they're like, nope, no waiting a tick, get out. That's what the feds said. And they said, well, the law says, we don't care what the law says. We got a black helicopter and guys with guns. You know, that's just how they operate. How do you argue with that? So what they did is, instead of fighting people off their land, what they do is they just wait until these old sourdoughs, miners, homesteaders, whatever, just living off the land out there, minding their own business, been there for generations. They wait till they come to town to get, you know, flour and bullets, and BLM would burn their cabin, burn their homestead. There's a lot of animosity in Alaska towards the feds, and rightfully so, because that is just wrong. So with that being the case, people hide their cabins, you know. They put brush on them and stuff. They make them look like a beaver house, you know, so that the feds won't find them. And this story starts with just one such squatter cabin. That's what they're called, squatter cabins. Well, you know, when I got to Alaska, I was into hunting and fishing and trapping, and I wanted to go out to the Yukon Flats where there was good trapping. You know, I'd heard it was real good out there. You know, hadn't been anybody out there for a long time. I wanted to go see what that was. You know, I was 17 years old, rip-roaring for an adventure. I'd kind of already left home. You know, I left home when I was about 16 and worked commercial fishing, and, you know, went climbing mountains, you know, climbed to McKinley, and, you know, all sorts of adventures, and just everything that the frontier had to offer an ambitious young guy. And I wanted to go out there, and I wanted to be in this cabin. So I got a friend of mine to fly me out there. Secret cabin, nobody knows where it is. And he goes, well, how long do you want to stay out here? And I said, well, 2 weeks. I got 3 or 4 weeks worth of food. Come on back in 2 weeks. If the trapping's good, I might stay a little longer. So he flew me out there, and he dropped me off, and, you know, the weather was kind of coming in, and we had to come through the mountains, and lots of people die flying in Alaska. There's all these cabins out there, and, you know, people live in them and stuff, and, you know, I've heard of these, you know, crotchety old geezers that live out in this cabin all their life, you know, and never come into town and stuff. That's pretty common, but it's kind of new for me, you know. And so he dropped me off out there, and he flew away, and I remember watching that Super Cub take off and shake the skis, and the blast of the prop wash and the snowy ice crystals is, you know, 50 below. You know, it's really cold. It got dropped off there right about Christmas. And he flew off, and I watched him circle around and head back towards those mountains, you know, as the clouds were coming down, and I just watched until the sound of that airplane went away, and it was just me there left in the deafening silence, all by myself. Total isolation. It was 200 miles to the nearest road, and then there was another like 180 miles to the pipeline where there would be a pump station with people. And so I said about that, and I was, getting set up in the cabin and trapping and stuff. I didn't see another person for 6 months. The guy didn't come back for 6 months. Now, I told this story last night, and I forgot to tell people why he didn't come back. So I'll just get to that right now, then get back to the story. He went back to town, and he went to Hawaii. And he told his buddy, hey, go check on this kid out in this cabin. And the guy tried to come out and check on me and got turned around by weather. Then the guy tried to come and check on me again, got turned around by weather, same thing. Then the original pilot got back from Hawaii. And the friend was like, oh, he'll go get him now. And so they both thought that the other one got me. And it took them that long to figure out, hey, did that kid ever get any good fur out there? I don't know, you hauled him in. No. And so they came out there and got me. But you know what? That pressure and that dark, it's 50 below, it's dark all the time, you just got an hour and a half of daylight. There was I saw Alaska Airlines fly over once a day at 30,000 feet. They never saw me, for 6 months. And you go through a process out there. You go through a process. And you know what I've seen? I've seen myself go through that process politically. And I think that I'm seeing people all over the country go through the process. You get out there and you're just defeated. You wanted to get out there so bad from town. Then you get out there and it just sucks. You're just stranded out there. You can't, there's no escaping. You start to go nuts. You hate your situation out there. Here you figure that the plane must have crashed and burned and they thought both of us were in it, or he crashed, they found it, but nobody knows where the squatter cabin is because it's a secret. How are we going to get out of here, And, there was a Beaver Creek there, and I figured, I was working on making a bowl boat. And I figured, well, when breakup comes and the ice flow goes out, I'll float down Beaver Creek to Victoria Creek. I'll float down Victoria Creek to the Yukon River. I'll float down the Yukon River to the pipeline bridge, and there'll be people there. I can get in a pipeline service truck and get a ride back to Fairbanks. So this is like 600, 700 river miles because they, go like this, and in a bowl, is my plan. That's my hope. You want to talk about hope and change? There's some hope and change for you. So, here's what I learned in that situation, because I sat down in the darkness and I was just defeated and I was feeling sorry for myself and I was hating my situation and I was loathing it and I was thinking about what if, and these unsurmountable challenges that are just more than any guy could deal with. And you know what hit me? You know what I got taught in that situation? Is that you're never where you want to be until you want to be where you are. And you know what? That was a dark, hard, challenging situation. And right now, with where our country's at and the way it's toppling and falling, our government is, we're in a dark, hard situation. But we're never going to be where we want to be until we want to be where we are. And we've got to just go ahead and gulp and accept the fate and the mission that has been plopped in our lap just by us being here at this time in history. And so long as we fight that, the longer it'll be until we can rise up and seize the day and be what history is longing for us to be. And you know what? Times are dire. I'll tell you another time where I kind of had this same feeling where it was hopeless, and then you just had to gulp and rise to the occasion. Is climbing McKinley. I've led 3 separate expeditions to the top of McKinley. There's a lot of people die on McKinley. There's bodies all along the trail. There's no way to get them off of there. And first one was with a 62-year-old guy from Michigan who was just a great guy. He'd not done much climbing, but he was Ironman triathlete and just a really great companion and friend. And that was great. It was a wonderful trip. Then the second time was with my dad just before I got